not still lying with a stranger. And I want to know that if you want to get to know somebody, lock yourself in a room with someone else for about 2 or 3 hours. You really get to know them, and it's a lot of fun.
It works.
Patrick, Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, President Kimberly. Fellow Rotarians and guests, please join me in a salute to our nation's flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Ed Johnson, the four-way test.
Please join me in saying the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it the truth?
second,
Is it fair to all concerned?
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
fourth,
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
and fifth.
Is it live?
I want you all to know that was really good. We have a Nate Peters,
I do have a guest this morning. With me is it's her last meeting as a guest. Her name is Shannon Glenn. She's with the South Peter Sound Community College.
Can't hear you.
Okay. Shannon, she's here again. It's her last day as a guest with SBSCC.
All right.
And Jessica Spiegel, I'm not sure who you are a guest on.
Mary Catherine, this is my guest, Jessica Field. She's a Boy Scout. She's second here.
All right. Are there any visiting Rotarians that didn't sign in, or any other guests? Madeline White.
Madeline.
Put it together for Madeline. Isn't this fun? I get to induct somebody every week. So, would Nate Peters and Shannon Glenn please come forward?
All right. Hey.
And I just found out that she's also goofy like I am, so that's the, we don't want to say another Madeline, trust me, coming up, but anyway. We're so glad you're here.
Wait, what? What?
Shannon Glenn is Alumni Relations and Community Engagement Coordinator for SPSCC Foundation. And you thought my name of my business was long. She grew up in Aberdeen. She attended Grace Harbor College and UN Las Vegas.
Go Chokers.
Really? Chokers?
Chokers.
Studied criminal justice, full-time grad student right now. She will be finished May 12th. First job was a carny. Yeah, she was working at carnivals making snow cones. Goal of visiting every Major League Baseball stadium by age 35.
All right.
Loves to go to concerts and live music. Most memorable concert was Metallica. Worked for Central Washington University as an admissions counselor before realizing she doesn't like snow. She organized Relay for Life event in Las Vegas, yes, as event co-chair in 2015. She's so thankful and excited to be a new member of the Fun Club.
Yeah.
And her favorite book, Devil in the White City by Eric Larson. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Doug Ma, are you ready to do your presentation? Let's hear it for Doug.
That clicker.
It's a bar.
It's a bar clicker.
Oh, is it still down, is up, or up is down?
I don't know, it's down, it's forward.
Okay, so how many of you remember that we were doing a joint Rotary project with Olympia, Lacey, and us, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this is our final report, and just by way of background,
Left and right, right goes forward.
yeah, there you go. So we
right.
contributed $3,500 to the project. It was matched by the district for a total investment of $21,000 into our community. So the project criteria, we had a whole bunch of criteria. Primarily it was to focus on youth in the greater Thurston County region. We ended up selecting a Boys and Girls Club playground replacement project in Rochester. Everybody remember that?
Yeah.
Yes, it is wet.
Okay. And so this is what the playground looked like before.
Okay.
I know many of you had playgrounds like this. The tires were extremely interactive. Okay, so that was what we started with. A couple additional pictures, and then we started repairing and replacing. So we ended up having 3 work parties in addition to the financial contribution, and had all 3 representatives from all 3 clubs attend these 3 work parties over time. First one was just some general cleanup. Second party was really some prep work, and a fair number of people helped kind of prep the swing sets for painting, and then also we redid some of the edges around the perimeter of the playground. And that's Mike Erickson showing us how to get in trouble with labor and industries, I guess. And then we started to assemble the big toys. So what we ended up doing was we purchased, the 3 clubs purchased a big toy for installation there in Rochester. And we had the opportunity to assemble this giant IKEA project. And so fortunately, Boys and Girls Club and their vendor, they had professionals help us through this process, but it was a lot of fun and a fair amount of work. Again, this was an opportunity to interact with members from other Rotary clubs, and that was probably one of the highlights, is being able to talk about the differences between the 3 clubs. And I still think we are the funner club and the younger club, because we oftentimes had way more volunteers than most of the other 2 clubs combined on this. I like this one. There's the former city manager, Greg Cuyo, trying to figure out how to assemble the big toy.
Yeah.
So again, progressing through the 3rd day of installation there, we had representation from all 3 clubs. It was wonderful. Oops. And so about the time we finished up, before they set the concrete, this is what we ended up with, this assembled structure there. Also in the background, some of these photos don't show it, but Boys and Girls Club was able to also get a match from Port Blakely for a timber structure also added to the playground. So they were able to leverage our contributions along with Port Blakely's contribution to really create a much better community playground. And finally, we ended up celebrating, lots of kids, lots of fun, great signage out there. One other thing that we wanted to make sure that happened is, battery line, that's not good. Is to make sure, one, that there was opportunity for Rotarians to be involved in the project and volunteer, and 2, that we got some recognition and signage similar to other activities we've done in the community historically. So again, Boys and Girls Club and the greater Rochester community were able to identify all 3 clubs and our contribution there to the community project. And again, before Rotary and after Rotary. So I want to thank everyone for your contribution.
And now we'll hear from our classification speaker, Grace Kendall. Please welcome Grace.
Doug, I did that sign.
All right. Very nice.
Hold on.
Thank you.
You just died.
I definitely think it's going to help.
In the meantime, I'll talk about the next social coming up. First Thursday of December, we're going to be doing a social again, and we're thinking about the Swing Wine Bar. Do people like that place? So I'm going to try to set that one up for 4 o'clock on, what's that first Thursday? Anybody know? December 6th. It's almost a day that would live in infamy, but it's the next day that would be that day. That's it. Great, we're back and running. Thanks.
Well done.
Awesome. Thank you for stepping in there, Lynn, so that we don't have any dead time. Okay, the first thing, this year is the first Wednesday after Veterans Day. So I would like to ask all the veterans to please stand up. If you're a veteran, please stand up.
So left and right.
Pointed at the computer.
Pointed at the Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jerry. So now I also want to ask all of the firefighters in the room to stand. I know we have some. And now all of our law enforcement. I know we have a couple of them here. So I want to say that these selfless Rotarians that are soldiers, firemen, and law enforcement, they serve their community, their country, but they give freely to their community by being a fine Rotarian. All going away.
The right button on the right goes forward.
There you go. So again, thank you for your service. So I just want to, as vocational club, the service coordinator or the vocational service chair, I want to do things a little bit differently to kind of show you that there are some things. So I wanted to say thank you to our service members. I want to talk a little bit about me personally and then a little bit about my business. So this year, these two young ones here are my grandbabies, Kendall and Hudson. And they are just a joy, and you've probably heard me talk about them. They're just really awesome. This is little Mr. Hudson. And then this here is the other part of my family, my 2 daughters and my son-in-laws, and of course that's Kendall there as well. So on to my goodness, I'm sorry. This is not being, okay, so now I'm the kind of the expert here. I can, between myself and the business, I can do this. So I don't have to do that. Okay, so my name is Grace, and I own the Fast Signs. And Fast Signs, I know that all of you know me. I know that you guys know I can do banners and, corrugated signs. But we do so much more. Our tagline, more than fast, more than signs, that's exactly what we are. So I just believe that some photos will tell you much more of a story than getting up here and tell you all these things that we do. So this here is some examples of just some vehicle graphics with the Mint landscaping, a partial wrap with the dentistry, and then the full wrap with the USO van here. some interior wall stuff from Homestead this year. These are some signs that we have done that's behind the desk, the reception areas as you go in. South Sound Radiology, Homestead. Finesse Chiropractic, it was a new business about a year and a half ago. We did hit all of his signs, exterior, etc. I didn't bring you all of those, but, and then this is Grace Church over here, when they redid theirs about a couple of years ago. And then, of course, you can recognize some of these here. Lowell, you here? We did some stuff for Lowell there, the Community Action Council. These here are dimensional letters, and they're all made of different materials here. We have Creative Office, which is a Gemini formed plastic. Community Action Council are, again, those also, I believe, are the Gemini formed plastic. And then we have Scrubs up here. Scrubs was a temporary signage deal down the mall where they won a contest, and so we went in and we actually did their whole thing. The Scrubs there's actually halo lighting behind it. So when you go down to the mall, take a look at that. And also down the middle of the aisle there is some floor graphics. There's light underneath, so it kind of, when you walk in, you have your tagline. Here's some other types of signs, some sandblasted signs we did for LEAP. Some halo channel letters you guys get to see every Wednesday morning when you come. And then down, it's not on Plum anymore, but down on over on the west side, Mike's Plum Street Automotive. This here is a backing with some channel letters that stand off of that. And this was a kind of a challenging project because you see there's AC Delco and Mike's Plumbing. Those are considered two logos, and the city would not approve two logos. So what we decided to do is, to be creative as we are, we went and took both these logos and we put them on one backing and put that on the wall so that we could put them both on there. So it was considered one sign. And then the other photo here is from Revel. That is the out there by the Mark. We also did the Mark on Martin Way East. This year was a temporary office until it all got completed, and we came in and we wrapped the building. And then, no worries, we got you. And just remember, signs work when you can't. Thank you, guys.
Jerry, can you keep that thing going? I think that would be great.
Wonderful. Well, next up we have our speaker. And our speaker today, we're fortunate enough to have our very own Nate Peters. You know, one of my favorite things is having someone from our very own club speak to us. And today we get to hear about the foundation. So without further ado, our very own Nate Peters.
All right, Nate.
Left, right.
Alright guys, thank you so much. My name is Nate Peters. I've been in the club since, it's been about a year and 3 months, I believe now, which is crazy. I recently moved back after I went to college and traveled for a year, and I now work at St. Martin's University doing fundraising. So my two parts of my job as foundation chair, one is to educate about the Rotary International Foundation, and the other is to raise funds for it. Can anyone kind of shout out what they already know that the foundation does? Polio, clean water, education,
Maternal care.
yes, maternal care, yeah. World peace, great.
Local matching grants for playground.
Yeah, you perfect timing for that, Doug. It was great. Well, thank you. Those are all accurate points of what the foundation does internationally and nationally in America. So I'm going to be going through notes, guys. There's a lot of information about the foundation. Today I want to talk about the foundation as a mechanism of how Rotary works. Without the foundation, Rotary is nothing. The foundation is what is the engine behind pretty much everything Rotary International is able to do. So the mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. And here we had a great video. I don't know why the bottom is showing there. Great video that I can never get anything hooked up to the Wi-Fi here, so you can't watch it. But it's a great video. It talks about kind of Rotary's impact internationally. So it shows people in Africa being taught education and literacy. And it has this photo here is of a school bus. It was of people who went and saw this abandoned school bus, and through their club involvement in grants, they were able to transform it into serving food and stuff for low-income children. This is some neat information. I think every nonprofit should want to strive for some of these accreditations. And so the Rotary in 2016, 2017 was one of the top rated with Charity Navigator, which is a third-party external company that rates nonprofits on their transparency, their honesty, and where their funding is going. Also, yeah. So we talked about these three things. Brian Christensen, I don't know if he's in the room, he teaches during the mornings, but he's very, very passionate about the Polio Plus initiative. Can anyone tell me about Polio Plus Fund, what that might do? Well, okay, yes, all right. Eradicate polio, all right. So the idea is that it takes one drop, and so Rotary International has partnered with the Bill Gates Foundation to do that. Rotary and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation working together to end polio. From 2017 to 2020, every dollar that Rotary commits in direct support of polio immunization, up to $50 million a year, will be matched by an additional $2 from grant-funded the Gates Foundation. This means your contributions to Polio Plus will have 3 times the impact of what it would do normally. The next is the endowment fund. I think a lot of us are aware of what endowments do. When you give to an endowment fund, your principal of your gift is not spent, it's invested. And then each year the earnings from your investment are what is able to be spent that year. So the third piece is what we're going to talk more about today is the annual fund. So the Foundation's annual fund is a source of funding for the local and international grant projects that we heard a little bit about when Doug was talking, that helps Rotary clubs do so much good. There are 6 main areas or causes of the Foundation or the annual fund specifically. Peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, and then economic and community development. So this is a neat thing I didn't know about the annual fund. I haven't seen many unrestricted funds for organizations do this. When you give to the annual fund, there's a 50-50 split. So I'm going to give an example. Say you give $1,000 to annual fund. For 3 years, that contribution is invested. So usually when you give to a nonprofit and you give $1,000, they're able to spend that the next day. It's unrestricted. With Rotary, they actually invest that amount that you give for 3 years. After those 3 years, 50% of that contribution, so that $1,000 example, 500 of it would be going back to district designated funds. And the district designated fund is what Doug was talking about with the grant project that we recently did in Rochester. The other 50% goes to the World Fund, which will go to funding world grants. And so that's the stuff we've been in conversations about doing an international project. I don't actually remember where, but that's where a world grant would come into play and help funding things.
Kenya.
Kenya, yes. Any questions about this concept? I think it's really neat that they're looking at how to invest money In my accounting class, $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. And so you're looking at investing. There you go. Who is this guy? That's Doug, yes. So this is the district grants example I was going to use. $3,500 was given from Rotary, $3,500 given by 2 other clubs. Because of the clubs pitching in, the district grant then matched dollars. $10,500 came from a district Rotary grant. And that's again coming from those annual fund dollars. All the money being able to be spent this year from the annual fund is actually from 3 years ago. Remember, because it's invested for 3 years. Has anyone heard of every Rotarian every year? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Great. So every Rotarian every year is a recognition opportunity for clubs, where it has every member of a club giving $25 to the Rotary Foundation. So these past grants are just discussed are possible because Rotarians supported the foundation and participated in grant programming. This campaign is based on the simple idea that if every Rotarian gave something every year, there would not be anything the foundation couldn't accomplish. So the Rotarians gave $140.1 million to the annual fund, and they participated in 1,260 grants, global grants, and then they were investing $111.5 million in humanitarian grants. And then from that, countless lives were changed. So here's some of the club recognition pieces. And in speaking with Tom Carroll, I think one of the most generous people I have met, he was talking a lot about club recognition. Per capita, Gateway Rotary Club is the highest in giving to the annual fund in the district. We have a really large district that spans all the way up to Canada, right? The reason we are doing that is because of Tom and Lori's generous contributions to the foundation. We actually break down our per capita giving. It is well below the average of what other clubs are giving. And so in talking about this with him, why this matters, is that it shows that I think a lot of people are joining Rotary for the networking opportunities, the professional opportunities, but we forget about sometimes the work that Rotary is doing. And I think our service committee is a great example of how we're able to impact our local community. So when you think about giving to the Rotary Foundation, that's Rotary clubs being able to do stuff internationally, or more than just in Thurston County. So the first banner up here is the Every Rotarian Every Year, and that's where it's $25 per member giving to the annual fund. The next is a 100% Foundation Giving Club banner, which recognizes clubs with an average of $100 per member giving to the foundation. Then there's a 100% Paul Harris Society Club, and I'm going to talk about that next. And then after that, the 3 clubs in each district that give the most per capita to the annual fund will receive this banner, which we should be receiving soon. Finally, 100% Paul Harris Fellow Club banner recognizes clubs where every active member is a Paul Harris Fellow. And I know for our newer members, I'm gonna go with that. If you are a Paul Harris Fellow, please stand. Okay, and then holding it up. Thank each of you for your contributions to Rotary International and the Foundation. Because of your contributions and your gifts to it, that's enabling the work that's happening around the world. So a Paul Harris Fellow is an opportunity to recognize your generous donors who give to the foundation as Paul Harris Fellows. These are people whose annual fund and Polio Plus Fund contributions are received to be a total at $1,000. This also could be 1,000 points. Has anyone heard of the points? We talk about those a lot, you know? So the points are make-believe points. The point of them are to encourage others to give. Every time I give $1, I have $1 in points, or 1 point. And then say, Shannon just joined, I'm going to give Shannon 500 points. And now she has halfway to getting her Paul Harris Fellow. And it helps encourage her to give the rest of the $500 to reach her Paul Harris Fellow. So they're really an opportunity to help encourage others to participate in philanthropy. And so you can see me wearing one here. Other people are also have these as well. When you receive your Paul Harris Fellow, you'll receive badges. And you also receive a certificate. So say you give $2,000 to annual fund, and then you're a Paul Harris Fellow times 2, you will have a badge with 2 stones in them. And then,
You're +1.
+1, Paul Harris +1, and I'll say that on your certificate. And so they'll keep, every time you do another additional 1,000, you get another stone in your badge, and it's an opportunity to show your support of the Rotary Foundation. The next is a Paul Harris. Yes.
One quick thing, if I may. It's kind of confusing when you say to the annual fund. Actually,
Yes.
your Paul Harris can accumulate over a period of years. You don't have to give $1,000 in any one year. That's
Yes, and I also said annual fund, it's not just annual fund, so thank you, Jerry. So the Paul Harris Society, or Paul Harris Fellow, is we're giving to the Rotary Foundation, which could be included in the Polio Plus Fund and the annual fund. And it doesn't have to be every year, it accumulates. The next is the Paul Harris Society. This is where people are committing to giving $1,000 a year to the Rotary Foundation. They're setting up a pledge. They're pledging to give $1,000 a year to the foundation. We have a number of the Paul Harris Society members in this room. I'm not going to ask you to stand. I think some people don't like to be recognized. But for those of you in the room, thank you so much for your commitment and your pledge to the Rotary Foundation. So I think here's a good idea, right? And so I do fundraising at St. Martin. Some of the things that I fundraise for are difficult to pinpoint how much money, X amount, that this thing costs. It's difficult to sometimes do that. The Rotary Foundation has done a good job at finding examples of what your money is going to help you visualize what this is looking like. So realistically, $10 would go toward a mosquito net. $100 would be going toward a new sewing machine. These are examples of things that the Rotary Foundation is at work doing out. So no matter how you choose to give, I hope you will join me in supporting the foundation that Give to the Annual Fund this year. When you look here, yep, and here it is, folks, the ask. So there's a lot of opportunities to be making gifts to the Annual Fund and easy ways to do that. So there's an automated giving through Rotary Direct. There's a number of people here who are already doing that. Rotary Direct is where it's a monthly contribution, say out of your bank account, off your credit card, and then you just don't even know it's coming off. The next is donate online, and then you can give a check to the foundation chair, which is me, and then you can also mail your gift to the annual fund. So I think Shannon is going around now. Here are little printouts of forms to give. I have no problem saying this. I make less than $55,000 a year. I am involved in a number of organizations, as are many of us. And I am signing up for $100 a year. Well, it's $120. $10 a month on my credit card. I get 2% cash back. So guys, I hope you would consider making a gift to the Rotary International Foundation and supporting the work that's happening. Again, I think this is an opportunity for us to really make a stand in our district for supporting what the foundation is doing. And also, I think a good goal would be to do that every Rotarian every year, whereas $25 a member, I think, is reasonable, and I think that shows your support. So thank you all so much for your time, and I appreciate you hearing more about the foundation.
Go ahead. What? Oh,
yes, Q&A. Jerry.
So if somebody were to buy a fine card for $25,
No, it's for $20.
For $20? Oh.
Yeah, I just bought one.
then they would only have to pay an additional
Like
$5 to be every Rotarian every year. But this $20 will go towards your Paul Harris. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
That is correct. So those cards are an opportunity that we, as a club, created to help inspire giving for the foundation. I think sometimes we don't talk about it enough. And so $20 for your card gets you 25 punches. So at the end of the meetings, you can then speak and do your happy bucks moment. And it's a punch in your card. And you get 5 more than what you actually did for. Any other questions? Thank you.
Yay!